Hey, it's Del Jackson, LOHoops.com. We got another York beat with Coach Grassel, and Andy's here tonight. And Coach, we haven't talked to you for a while. Happy New Year. How you doing, buddy?
Happy New Year. I'm doing well. Big Eagles win this afternoon and gearing up for another 3-game week. So
nice. And Andy joins us. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing wonderful. Hopefully you guys are doing better today with your team than I was with my team yesterday. That was time well spent at Maryland. That was fantastic. So, yeah.
I see you have the Dallastown gear on instead of the normal red and white on tonight.
Well, I might as well support a winner. So, kind of where I'm at.
All right. Hey, let's start with Coach Grassel. Coach, what went on this last week? I mean, you had a really cool story there for one, but talk about your team and then let's get into the story.
Yeah, we had a 3-0 week, which those are always good. Had a non-league game to start on Monday, and then played Southwestern on Wednesday on the road, which is always a tough place to go play, and got a big home win on Friday against Spring Grove. But big week for us, is every game from here on out is pretty much a playoff game for our league and district implications.
Where are you at? I didn't check today. Usually I check. Where are you at in the district standings?
Currently, I think we're right around 11, but everybody's bunched up from, I'd say, 8 to 15.
Yeah.
I think Conestoga Valley was 10 the other day before they lost to Exeter, and that dropped them down to 15. So it's a numbers game. Not everybody's on equal footing as far as games, left to be played. Some have 2 or 3. We have 5. Other teams have 5 or 6. So it'll be interesting down the stretch. 6A, there's a lot of good teams, and just like years past, there will be 1 or 2 good teams left out, I'm sure.
Yeah. Andy, how about? I mean, you keep up on this stuff. How is the LL looking with the 6A teams in Dallastown's classification?
We're pretty top heavy in the sense that we only have like really one team in Hempfield that's really up at the top of the upper echelon. I think it's pretty much been a swap between Reading and Cumberland Valley for number 1 throughout the whole year. I know CV was unbeaten for a while, and I think State College got them for their first one this past week, where Shrewsbury had a good game for them, coach's kid, so no surprise there. For us, specifically for the Hempfield audience, since they're kind of up there, you and I talked about this weekend. Cumberland Valley comes to Township on Saturday afternoon, so might be a good little look into what Cumberland Valley has. Again, if they're the same team as last year, they don't do anything like super sexy, but they keep coming at you. They just, like, they played Warwick last year, and although Warwick beat them, Cumberland Valley just kept coming. Like, you would think with some teams you can get them down by a couple scores, couple possessions. It's very difficult for them to come back, but if it's the same type of CV team from last year, like 6A is in for a bit of a struggle. As far as how it kind of relates to Dallastown and them, Effort is kind of right in Dallastown's neighborhood. RCV, who Coach just mentioned, Conestoga Valley is right in that thick too. Those are the 2 that really come to my mind that are really kind of on the bubble.
Where's McCaskey at?
McCaskey's in there too. They really saved their bacon the other night by getting Township in overtime at home. That was a big win for them in that perspective. Along with them, they're chasing the last spot. Well, I say last spot because that's probably what it's going to be in Section 1 for the league playoffs, because I think Hempfield's pretty much got that on lock. So, yeah, they kind of got 2 competing things going on, whereas like for Effort and CV in Section 2, probably not so much, especially with Central's loss that I saw, or Central's win over CV that I saw this past week. I think it's pretty much going to be Warwick and CV. So very wordy, but 6A is kind of a jumbled mess, as Coach just mentioned, like once you get to the middle to the lower part.
Cedar Crest is in there.
Yeah.
I know they have a lot of games left. And I know Cedar Crest, McCaskey has Hempfield coming up. and I believe they also have the Crest.
Yeah.
And Cedar Crest is there in the mix. Yeah, I mean, 6A, I'm a big proponent of 16 teams getting in 6A. I don't care how many teams there are. Because there are plenty of years where a 15 or a 14 could beat a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
I mean, on any given night. I mean, Harrisburg just got their first win against State College, who was unbeaten. So it's the time of year where funky things happen. Yeah. Where you look at a scoreboard and you're like, how did that happen? And second time playing people, we're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, and game plans, injuries, sickness. Right now, sickness is running rampant. So it's one of those, every little win you can get, no matter what the score, is huge, especially in 6A.
Let's talk about the story I was reading on Twitter. I didn't quite get the whole gist of it. It was about your manager. So go ahead and fill our people in that didn't follow the story, and just kind of recap what went on with that.
So our manager, Jonah Stefko, has been with us for 3 years. Does a great job each and every day, coming in, does a score clock for practice, keeps everything running for us. Great with our guys. He shoots a lot at practice, when he has some free time, when he's not running the clock. And our players before the season had the idea of trying to get him in. They say, Coach, we want to show Jonah our appreciation. We'd like to get him in the game. And I said, well, I'll talk to him. We'll see how that goes. So I proposed the idea to Jonah, and he said, no, I'm the manager. He said, my job is to film away games, keep the clock at home and be here to support the team. He said, that's not how it works. We worked on him a little bit, and finally he agreed. He said, just one basket. I just want to make one basket. That's it. So York Tech was gracious enough. Their JV coach used to play for me. So I reached out to him, and he talked with the head coach, and we proposed the idea. And Jonah got in. He made a layup at the beginning of the game. And then we subbed him out. And he said, they didn't play any defense. He said, that's not real basketball. So later in the game, I said, all right, we'll get you in for real. And got in the game. I think he was 1 for 3. First one looked good from the corner, and then we got him up in his sweet spot up on the wing, and he knocked it down, and it was probably, and again, I've had a lot of wins and been in playoff games, but probably the most rewarding experience as a head coach, mainly because of his reaction, but then also because of how our players reacted and the unconditional love that they have for him. So it was cool. He's getting recognized in school by his peers, which is really neat. And it was a cool story. And Fox 43 ran a story on him, and we keep telling him he's famous now. He asked me the other day if he's getting in another game. I said we'd talk about it. But the way he's shooting 33% from 3, he ranks pretty high up there on our team. So,
oh man, all right, Andy, you got questions for Coach?
Yeah, I guess how much are you? What is this point in the season like for you? Right, like you're on the bubble. I'll plead ignorance to say, and this is my disclaimer that I say to everybody, from the month of December through February, if it's not in the LL or the Big Ten, I have no idea what's going on with it. So like, how are you? Because again, you are a bubble team, and I know that because I'm looking at the rankings and I'm seeing your name in there. How much are you paying attention to like what our guys are doing specifically with you, being an LL guy? Like, are you checking us out and where I'm at, or, kind of where you rank in comparison to us?
I'd lie if I say I didn't score watch. I didn't check. I thank you guys for updating. That makes it really nice and easy. Honestly, with our team, we're just hitting home. It's all about us. If we keep getting wins, and we've been lucky enough, we won 6 of our last 7, with a loss to our rival Red Line in there. If we keep getting wins, then everything will take care of itself. Unfortunately, in 11 years, I've been on both ends of the bubble. So I don't want to have to wait on, I think February 15th is the deadline, and we'll be finished up well before that. I think we finish up the 7th because our league playoffs start the 10th, something like that, February 10th. So I don't want to have to rely on another team to lose or be scoreboard watching, because like we said, this is a time of year where anything can happen, where a 1-2 win team might, pull one off. And so we're just trying to attack each day and trying to get as many wins as we can. And then hopefully, we're on the right side of things.
Who do you got this
we
week?
have.
Oh, go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to kind of piggyback off of that. Since the last time we talked, you've played a handful of LL teams. I'm really not crazy that we had to relinquish our holiday tournament title. That was about the only claim of the distinction that the 2007-08 team had, but I get it. I'm just busting your chops.
Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, you played Warwick, you played McCaskey. I was there for the McCaskey game. You played Penn Manor. I mean, what 2 of those teams are really going to be in playoffs or right around the verge? I mean, what's kind of your impression since the last time you talked of, I guess, those teams, and maybe if you've been watching tape on them, but getting ready if they played any LL teams, like what you see from an outsider's perspective?
I think there's a lot of parity aside from Reading. I think there's a lot of parity. Dell talked about Cumberland Valley. I've seen them, and Red Line, who beat us, it was like a 3-4 point game. Watching some of the LL teams I watched the LL York, the War of the Roses, which was at Red Line. There were 4 really competitive games. I thought. I mean, I think Lancaster. I think LL won 3 of them, but Warwick, West York, there was a little Chris Webber moment at the end of that one that helped Warwick, win that. LS Red Line was an overtime game where Red Line was on the line shooting free throws, had a chance to win it. I think there's a lot of parity in the leagues. Reading is head and shoulders above everybody else, but as far as, when it comes to districts, specifically in 4A, 5A, and 6A, I think, York, Berks, Mid-Penn, Lancaster, Lebanon, I think there is a lot of parity, and I think it's going to make for an interesting, February and March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who do you have this week, Coach? Who's coming up?
We have Northeastern on Tuesday away, Southwestern on Wednesday, and then we go non-league. We go out to Governor Mifflin on Friday, because that's our bye. That's our bye in the league. So if we get 2, and then we have York the following week in the league. So league standpoint, we need 2 out of 3, and we'd be in the York Adams playoffs. Good. Facing off against Division II number 1, which as of right now is West York. Eastern York's kind of hit a few speed bumps. They're still really talented, and I wouldn't want to see them, in the last week in February. But that's what we're looking at schedule-wise.
Nice. Who's you mentioned some of the teams that are rolling in your league. Let's just cap off, some things that you're seeing, some trends that you're seeing in New York Adams.
So Central's heading up Division I. We gave them their only league loss. They've had a tough non-conference schedule. So they're up there. I think they're at like 5th in districts right now. York High is rolling, aside from a loss to Central. They just beat Milton Hershey the other day by, it was like 20 or 30, which is impressive. And then, like I said, us and Redline are fighting for the third spot currently. Division two, it's West York at the top. Eastern's one game back. And then our old buddy over at Susquehanna, Coach Leonard, I think he has his guys right now sitting in the third spot. So that lasts the 8th spot. For York, we go 3 in Division 1, 2 and 2, and 2 and 3. And then the 8th spot goes to the highest district ranking between Division 2 and Division 3, the third place team. Okay. So I think right now it'd be Susquehanna. And then Division 3, I know Littlestown is leading. And I want to say it's York Catholic, Delone in that mix for the second spot out of Division 3. But I think York Catholic just beat Delone the other day. Mm-hmm. So I think York Catholic holds that. So
I know as an ex-coach, this is a busy time, man. This is the time where the cream's rising and you're getting ready for districts and playoffs. And, you know, the hard part is if you're not in that mix, then you're kind of trying to keep the ship from sinking at this point. And it's pretty exciting the last 2 weeks, I always thought. Andy, what do you got for a wrap up here, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Like you said, it's kind of a lot of the races are taking shape. For us, obviously, most specifically, I think it's just a matter of pecking order, largely for a lot of our slots from a league standpoint of where we're going to be. What is that? The week of somewhere in the teens of February is where we'll, start to kick it into high gear for the league tournament. No, I want to thank Coach for jumping on. I know he's had a busy week. And it's cool stuff with Jonah. Like all three of us know, and a lot of people watching know, like there's a lot of stuff that, goes on that kind of makes the experience a little arduous and a little heavy and difficult. And it's just good to get stories like that, that pop up time to time. It really, puts some gas in your tank, so to speak. And that boy absolutely demolished me if we're talking scoring on a senior night perspective. Like I got smoked. Like I got nothing on him. So he outclassed me.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, Coach, good luck this week. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week, if not the week before the tournament. Thank you, my man.
Thanks for having me, guys, and have a good week yourselves catching some games.
All right. Bye, Andy.
See ya.